Let me tell you something straight from the gut. Britain is walking blindfolded into a prison. A prison built not by bricks and mortar, but from code, databases, and digital shackles. They call it progress, they call it modernisation, they call it security. But let me tell you what it really is. Control, absolute suffocating Orwellian control. We've all read 1984. Or at least we were forced to skim it at school. Big Brother, the telly screens, the rewriting of history. We laughed back then. Oh, what a nightmare world. Thank God it could never happen here. Well, open your eyes, because it is happening here, right now. And it's being dressed up in a shiny government-issued bow called digital ID. They're not even hiding it anymore. Every news outlet whispers the same line: it'll make your life easier. No more lost passports, no more fraud. You'll be able to prove who you are with just a scan. Sounds convenient, doesn't it? That's the bait. But what's on the hook? I'll tell you, once you hand over your identity to the state, once you let them weld your life to a digital ID card, you can no longer own yourself, you belong to them. And here's the ugly truth. It's not about convenience, it's not about fraud prevention, it's about building the infrastructure of total control. Welcome to Work, Life and Conspiracies, podcast where everyday reality meets the unexplained. Hosted by myself, Michael Deegan, we explore the strange overlaps between the world of work, real life, and the stories nobody wants to explain. From modern burnout and corporate chaos to fringe theories and quiet truths, we dive into what's really going on behind the headlines. Let's get into this week's episode. Imagine this. You wake up one morning, late for work, rushing for the train, go to buy your ticket, but the app flashes red. Transaction denied. You tap again, same result. Confused? You call the bank. They tell you your account is flagged. Why? Because last night you tweeted something the government didn't like. You criticised the policy, you shared a video from a so-called extremist source. Doesn't matter. That's it, just your opinion. Doesn't matter that it's free speech. The system decided you're not compliant, so the system shuts you down. That's what digital ID enables. It links everything to one central profile. Your passport, your driving license, your medical history, your tax records, your bank account, your social media, even your bloody Tesco club card points. And once it's linked, it can't be switched off. You don't exist without it. You want to rent a flat? Scan your ID. You want to buy a pint? Scan your ID. You want to apply for a job? Scan your ID. Want to log on to the internet? Yes, you guessed it. Scan your ID. Do you see where this goes? The moment everything is tied to that ID, you have no way to opt out. Cash doesn't save you. Fake names don't save you. Even staying off the grid won't save you, because society itself will demand the scan. No ID, no access. They'll tell you this is about stopping fraud, about protecting you. But look at history. Governments never build tools of control without using them. ID cards were resisted in Britain for decades because people understood the danger. But now, because the technology makes it easier to sell, they're ramming it through the back door. And the worst part, people will line up for it. They'll beg for it. Oh, it will make banking easier. Oh, it will protect me from identity theft. Oh, I won't have to carry around a wallet anymore. And while you're drooling over the convenience, they've already built the cage. You don't see the bars until the door slams shut. Digital ID is the Trojan horse, the shiny gift rolled into the city. Everyone cheers, everyone claps. But once it's inside, once it's part of your daily life, the soldiers pour out, and those soldiers are called CBDC, social credit and financial slavery. Let me hit you with the reality of what a digital ID really means. It is a real-time surveillance system. You don't just have an ID, the ID has you. Every purchase you make, every journey you take, every prescription you pick up, every online post, it all gets logged and it never goes away. Think about the NHS Act during COVID. They could track your vaccine status, your test results, even where you'd been. People were denied entry to pubs, concerts, flights. That was a trial run, and we failed the test. We complied. We showed our papers, digital papers no less, just to have a pint. That's how easily Britain rolled over. Now imagine that system, not as a temporary emergency, but as a permanent reality. That's what digital ID is, the skeleton key to a surveillance state. Do you think you'll be safe? Maybe you're sitting there thinking, I'm not a criminal. I've got nothing to hide. Don't be naive. You don't get to decide what's criminal anymore. The government does. The same government that changes the law overnight. The same government that censors speech online. The same government that already calls ordinary parents extremists for protecting against certain policies. Today it's about fraud. Tomorrow it's about misinformation. Next week it's about hate speech. And before you know it, disagreeing with the government, even politely, will flag your ID. And when your ID is flagged, your life is over. Let me tell you a little story. A man, let's call him John, lives in Birmingham. John works hard, pays his taxes, keeps his head down. One day, John goes to a rally against new government policies. Nothing violent, nothing extreme, just standing in a crowd with a sign. The next morning, John tries to pay for petrol. Card declined. He calls the bank. They tell him he's under investigation. His digital ID is suspended. John can't buy food. He can't pay his rent. He can't even log into his phone contract because it's linked to the same system. Overnight, John goes from being a law-abiding citizen to a non-person. That's not science fiction. That's China. That's already happening in the East. And Britain is following the same fucking path. Digital ID is not a tool. It's a weapon. A weapon aimed not at fraudsters, not at criminals, but at you, every single citizen who dares think for themselves. Once you give them the power to switch off your life with a keystroke, do you think they'll hesitate? Of course not. And here's the kicker. You won't even know what's happening. They'll roll it out quietly, softly, voluntary at first, then mandatory for certain services. Then suddenly you can't function without it. And by then, it's all too late. You see, digital ID is just a skeleton. It's the frame of the prison. But what's a prison without locks, without bars? That's where CBDCs come in. Central bank digital currencies. The holy grail of government control. The death of cash. The end of freedom. The politicians dress it up the same way they did with the digital ID. We're modernising the financial system. It'll be faster, cheaper, more secure. They always use the same bloody script. But let me rip off the mask. CBDC is not money. It's a leash. It's programmable tokens they let you use under conditions they decide. Now imagine this. You've worked all week. Your wage drops straight into your CBDC wallet. You breathe a sigh of relief, rent's due, bills are piling up. You go to buy groceries, but when you hit checkout, a message flashes, purchase denied. You've exceeded your monthly meat quota. Because guess what? With programmable money, they can limit what you buy. Too much alcohol this week, denied. Too much petrol, denied. Try to spend on a book the government deems dangerous, denied. It's not money anymore, it's permission. And permissions can be revoked. Let me tell you something that should send a shiver down your spine. They've openly admitted CBDCs can be programmed with expiry dates. Imagine your wages evaporating if you don't spend them fast enough. Forget saving for the future. Forget building wealth. Forget independence. If they want to stimulate the economy, they'll just make your money vanish after 3 months. Use it or lose it. That's not an economy. That's forced consumption. That's slavery dressed up as progress. Protest, you're broke. Here's where digital ID and CBDC intertwine like snakes strangling you from both sides. Your ID is tied to your wallet. That means your behaviour dictates your access to money. Speak out against the government, wallet frozen. Donate to a protest group, wallet frozen. Get flagged for misinformation, wallet frozen. This isn't theory. Look at Canada during the trucker protests. Bank accounts frozen, donations seized. Ordinary citizens financially strangled because they dared oppose the government mandates. That was with the old banking system. Imagine how much easier it gets with CBDC. One click, poof, you're finished. Cash is freedom, full stop. You hand someone a note, the transaction is private, anonymous, untraceable. That's why they hate it. That's why they're waging war on it. Every cashless shop, every tap-only system, every convenient payment app, it's softening you up, conditioning you. So when they finally announce, we're phasing out cash, you won't even resist. But let me be crystal clear. Once cash is gone, you have no escape. Every transaction goes through them. Every purchase logged, analysed, judged. Your life becomes a spreadsheet in some bureaucrat's hands. Let's play out another story. Sarah's a nurse in Manchester. She loves her job, but takes what the government is doing to the NHS. One night, she shares a Facebook post criticising new healthcare policies. Just her opinion. Nothing extreme. The next day, she goes to pay for her kid's school lunch. Transaction denied. Her CBDC wallet is restricted. Sarah calls the helpline. After 2 hours on hold, a robotic voice informs her your account has been temporarily limited due to online activity violating community standards. She can't pay her rent. She can't buy food. She can't even top up her bus card to get to work. Sarah is erased financially. Not because she committed a crime, not because she stole or defrauded anyone, but because she spoke out. That's the power of CBDC. That's the nightmare Britain is sleepwalking into. Total control, disguised as safety. They'll say it's about fighting crime. They'll say it's about stopping terrorism, money laundering, fraud. But what they really mean is stopping dissent. Stop. Because crime and terrorism already exist under the current system. Fraud happens. Do you really think stripping everyone of financial privacy will magically solve that? No, but it will solve the problem of ordinary people resisting government control. They'll roll it out gently. You can still use cash, they'll say. For now. You can still use your own bank card, they'll say. For now. But slowly, shops stop accepting it. Businesses get incentives to switch fully digital. Banks start charging fees for legacy transactions. Until one day, you find yourself the last person in line with a £20 note that no one will touch. And then it's gone. And remember, CBDC doesn't exist in isolation. It plugs directly into the digital ID system. That's the master plan. Your ID is the account. Your money is in the account. Your behavior decides whether the account works. One system, one switch, total control. And do you know what infuriates me the most? The smugness of it all. The politicians smirk when they talk about this stuff. The bankers salivate. The corporations clap like seals. Because for them, it's paradise. Every penny you spend goes through them. Every transaction feeds their data machine. Every choice you make is monetized, monitored, manipulated. And for you, it's chains. Invisible chains, but chains all the same. So let me hammer this home. Digital ID is the cage. CBDC is the lock. And once the lock snaps shut, there is no key, no back door, and no escape. The social credit cage. So, we've got the digital ID, the cage. We've got the CBDC, the lock. Now comes the final insult. The final weapon in their arsenal. The social credit system. This isn't theory. This isn't paranoia. This is already reality in China. And if you think Britain is somehow immune, you're dreaming. The blueprint is right there, and the politicians are copying it page for page. In China, every citizen is scored, like a child in school. Points for good behaviour. Points taken away for bad behaviour. But who decides what's good and what's bad? The state? The party? The people at the top, who never get judged themselves? You pay your bills on time? Points up. You recycle properly? Points up. You clap along with government policy? Points up. But you criticise the government? Points down. You hang out with the wrong crowd? Points down. You share the wrong article online? Points down. And when your points drop too low, you're finished. No flights, no trains, no jobs, no loans, no freedom. Now let's project that system onto Britain. Do you think they won't try it? The same government that already labels ordinary protesters extremists. The same government that sneaks through online safety bills to police your speech. Tie the digital ID to your wallet. Tie both to your citizen score. Suddenly, you've got your very own rating. A number that decides whether you get to live like a free human being or a second-class ghost. Imagine logging into your banking app and seeing that your balance, but your citizen score. Imagine applying for a mortgage and being told, sorry, your score is too low. Imagine being blocked from booking a train ticket to London because your score dipped after you criticised the Prime Minister online. That's not science fiction. That's the next logical step. You think it stops with the government surveillance? No. The social credit system turns neighbours into spies, friends into informants. Because if reporting someone else's bad behaviour boosts your score, people will do it. Human nature. Suddenly, your mate down the pub is wondering if your offhand comment will tank his score. Your neighbour is eyeing your recycling bin, not because they care about the planet, but because they care about their points. Your boss is monitoring your social media, not just for PR, but to protect their own privileges. It's not just control, it's engineered mistrust. It's the destruction of community. It's total obedience through fear. Do you see how perfect the system is for the ruling class? They don't even need to send the police to silence you anymore. You silence yourself. You muzzle your own mouth. Censor your own thoughts. Because you know one wrong step means no money, no job, no travel, no future. This isn't freedom. It's psychological warfare. It's chains in your mind before they're even on your wrist. Forget rich and poor. Forget left and right. The new class system will be based on compliance. At the top, the obedient. Those who parrot the government line, who never rock the boat, who keep their heads down. At the bottom, the dissidents. Those who dare question, who dare resist, who dare think. And the beauty, or should I say the horror, of the social credit system is that it doesn't need courts. It doesn't need trials. The punishment is automatic, algorithmic, cold, no appeal, no human face. Just a number on a screen dictating your life. Orwell wasn't writing fiction. You remember Orwell's 1984? The telly screens, the thought police, the rewriting of history, the destruction of language itself. Orwell was warning us. But here's the kicker. What he imagined with paper and ink, we've built with silicon and code. And it's worse than he ever imagined, because Big Brother doesn't just watch you now. Big Brother scores you, ranks you, grades you like a schoolchild. And if you fail, you don't get detention. You get deletion. And I'll tell you this straight. I will not live in a world where my ability to feed myself depends on a bloody score assigned by a bureaucrat and algorithms. I will not be a good little citizen rat, running the maze for government cheese. I will not trade my freedom for fake security, because make no mistake, once the social credit cage is shut, there is no key. No protests, no votes, no petition. The system doesn't care. It just ticks and wows, stripping you of humanity one point at a time. So remember this. The digital ID is the cage, CBDC is the lock, and the social credit system, that's the walls closing in. That's the oxygen being sucked out. That's the final stage of the prison Britain is building. We've talked about the cage, we've talked about the lock, we've talked about the score. But there's one more nail in this coffin. The destruction of savings. Because let me be crystal clear. Once the digital ID, once the CBDC, once the social credit system is in place, your wealth is no longer yours. Your money, your savings, your pension, the nest egg you worked your entire life to build, gone. Not stolen in one night, like a burglar in the dark. No, far worse. It's absorbed, drip by drip, into a system where you don't own it anymore. The state does. And they decide when and how you can use it. Think about what savings really mean. It's independence. It's freedom. It's the ability to say no. When you've got money tucked away, you don't have to bow to every demand. You don't have to kiss the ring. You've got choices. And that's exactly what they want, why they want it gone. Because independence is the enemy of control. So they'll chip away at it. Inflation eats it. Negative interest rates penalise it. Expiry dates on CBDC tokens erase it. Before long, savings become a meaningless concept. You will own nothing, and they will tell you you're happy about it. What they're building isn't just a surveillance state. It's an economic gulag. You will work when they tell you to work. You will spend on what they allow you to spend on. You will live where they allow you to live. And the moment you step out of line, you cut off. This isn't freedom, this isn't democracy. This is slavery with Wi-Fi, chains made of code, shackles disguised as progress. Don't say you're overreacting. Some people will roll their eyes at this. You're exaggerating, you're paranoid. That will never happen here. Let me remind you, how many times in the past 3 years did we hear that will never happen here right before it happened? Lockdowns, vaccine passports, free speech censorship online, banks freezing accounts in other countries. Every single time, the so-called conspiracy theorists were right. Every single time. So no, this isn't paranoia. This is pattern recognition. And the pattern is clear. More control, less freedom. And let me tell you something from the heart. I'm furious. Furious that we've allowed it to get this far. Furious that so many people shrug and say, well, I've got nothing to hide. Furious at the government. The same government that lies to us daily, that wastes our money, that sells us out to corporations, now wants to own our identities, our money, our very existence. Well, here's my message to them. I do not consent. I will not comply. I will not bow. Because once you accept this system, once you scan that ID, once you tap that CBDC wallet, once you live by that score, it's game over. There is no undo. So if you are listening to this, if you've made it this far, understand this. We are standing at the line in the sand, the very edge. One more step, Britain falls into a digital dictatorship from which there is no return. You have a choice, right now, today. Do you roll over? Do you shrug? Do you say, well, that's just how the world is now? Or do you stand up? Do you raise your voice? Do you fight back with everything you've got? Because the truth is, once the system is in place, resistance will be impossible. You won't be able to buy a ticket to protest. You won't be able to donate to a cause. You won't be able to survive outside the cage. So the time to resist is now. So hear me. Digital ID is the cage. CBDC is the lock. The social credit system is the walls closing in. And the destruction of savings, that's the final suffocation. You will own nothing. You will control nothing. You will be nothing. Unless you resist. So don't comply. Don't buy the lie. Don't scan the ID. Don't cheer for your own enslavement. Because once freedom is gone, it's gone forever. This is not a drill. This is not a theory. This is the last warning. This is me, angry, unfiltered, begging you to see what's right in front of your face. They want your freedom. They want your money. They want your soul. And they'll take it with a smile, with promises of convenience, with shiny apps and buzzwords. I say no. I say resist. I say remember who you are. A free human being. Not a QR code. Not a score. Not a programmable wallet. A human being. So stand up, shout, refuse and fight. Because if we don't, Britain becomes a prison and we will be the inmates. And I'll tell you this much. I'd rather die on my feet than living on my knees, begging permission from a government to buy bread with my own money. That's it for today's episode of Work, Life and Conspiracies. Thank you for hanging out with me today. I appreciate you spending some time with me. If you enjoyed the show, feel free to follow, leave a review, or share it with someone who needs to hear it. Until next time.